there's sort of three mechanisms of engagement with all of this, and I'm sort of personally just coming to the third mechanism. The first mechanism is to pretend none of this exists and go away, right? The second mechanism is to participate in either hating the Democrats because there's a lot to hate, hating the Republicans because there's a lot to hate, or as I've been doing for the past few years, hating both political parties along with New York and Washington because there's a lot to hate. All of that's wrong. And the reason I say that is because as long as we, any of us, whoever you, me, anybody, any me is, are looking outside of our own communities and looking outside to the media, looking out to our political leaders, looking to the forces of New York and Washington to either save us and or not victimize us, there's an implicit statement in that is that you are powerless, that you and your community have no power. You can't improve your hospital, you can't improve your schools, you can't improve your community itself, you can't improve the electoral process in your community with transparency, with gerrymandering, whatever it might be. You can't do any of that. Is the implication of the system that we have right now.
Sure you don't want to talk to me for a minute, Mayor?
Pardon?
Come on, just give me 5 seconds on camera. I'll be nice, I promise.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. You're very gracious to do this. Okay, let me just back up so I'll get you in the frame. With the parking garage, where does it fit in the overall financial picture? I mean, it's not getting fixed, and I understand it's a funding issue.
Well, we are fixing parking garages, and our parking garages are being transferred into a parking authority where this work should be managed appropriately, and that's where these issues, parking garages overall, are being transferred into the parking authority. All right? Now that sounds like, okay, what does that really represent? Well, it means that we are transferring these responsibilities for our parking garages into the people who are accustomed to managing these assets.
Were they mismanaged in the past? I mean, how did we get to where we are with that particular garage in the annex? How did we get here?
Well, think of it this way: garages are something that's been created in the last 50 years. So we're really going through the first generation of garages having to be repaired. Having to be actually, some of them having a full lifespan and examining what to do with them now. Because cars haven't been around for that long. Parking garages themselves, we're looking at first generation of them. That's one of them. So we're now at a point where we have to examine the lifespan. What's next for these garages? We saw one come down because in doing the examination of it, we discovered that cost evaluation meant that
cheaper to tear it down than
repair
repair
it. Cheaper to tear it down than to put it to keep it. Yeah. So that's what we're doing with all of our garages.
How big a problem is funding? It's like state, federal funds.
Well, we're all struggling. This economy and these at the federal level, at the state level, and at the city level. Cities are at the bottom of the totem pole. So we're the ones where the rubber really meets the road, where these infrastructure needs are very visible, right in the public's eye. This is an example of it.
that we're functioning in a way that suggests that we ourselves, A, have no responsibility in our own communities, and B, more important than perhaps even responsibility, have no power in our own communities to change our local hospital, our local school, our local electoral process, our community's overall health, our relationship with our local environment, whatever it might be. The imperative for communities to address these issues independently in their own schools, in their own hospitals, in their own environments, which is the only actual power that any of us actually have today, is the one power that we're not actually seizing because we're too busy trying to figure out whether our hero is going to win, whether our channel is going to be say what we want them to say that day, or whether our government is going to be benevolent or predatory that on a given day, which again is total disempowerment for all of us. Remember, even with the power in New York and Washington, there's 311 million of us total. There's 545 of them in the federal government. The only way, and then I'll layer on another 5,000 people between bankers and media and lobbyists and whatever, call it 10,000. The only way that group of 10,000, shall we say, is able to perpetuate its power is if the 311 million people live in the sort of pluralistic ignorance of believing that we all hate each other.
A week ago, I heard Dylan Ratigan's message of community involvement and decided to get involved in my community in the only way I knew how, to dig around, to ask questions, to record what I saw and present that to you. Now, I don't know if any of that will solve the infrastructure problems that we have here in Kentucky. I just know that I couldn't sit here and do nothing. I'm hoping that some of you will see this video and decide to get involved in your communities in the ways that you know how, and hopefully make a difference.